In this episode of Human Can Opener, I'm joined by Veleriy Minenko, founder of Ukrainian game studio Twigames, who are developing the narrative cRPG Hollow Home. Hollow Home tells the very real story of the invasion of Ukraine from the perspective of a teenage protagonist named Maxim. Valeriy talks about his very personal story from the last 3 years in Ukraine, from escaping from Kyiv to returning, the difficulties of bringing up children in Ukraine, and the importance of telling these very real stories in video games. This does have some sensitive topics, so fair warning to all that some of you may find the subject matter upsetting. Okay, hello, Veleriy Minenko from Twigames. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today. How are you?
Thank you for having me here. I'm okay. How are you?
Yes, I'm not doing too bad. It's Friday, which is always a bonus in the week to have made it to Friday. So yeah, glad you're good. Appreciate you joining me. So you are from a studio called Twigames, which is of interest to me because you are creating a game called Hollow Home, which we'll talk about a little bit further in the podcast. But yeah, I guess just as an introduction to yourself first, Val, if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about Twigames, who you are, and what you guys do.
Like, if you're talking about who am I, kind of myself, I've been developing games for 15 years already, like almost all my career. I have initially a technical education, so I started my career as a developer, and it happened in such a way that my first programmer job was a Unity developer, actually. At the time, it was not so popular engine technology. So, like, I personally heard of it first time at the interview, frankly speaking. And after that, I've been working for some time as a developer in several companies and startups. And 10 years ago, I established my own studio. It's called Twigames, and we are doing video games, basically. So most of our projects and almost all our revenue was coming from contract work. So we developed games for other companies, for publishers. We made games for mobile, for PC, consoles, for different VR, AR, MR, XR devices. And yeah, but we also always tried to develop some our own games in parallel using that money that we earning from contract work. Some of them earned awards, some of them were not completed. I think all of them did not earn money, but yeah, but we are still trying to do it, you know.
Yeah. So is it Twigames that you pronounce it? I said Twigames. Is it Twigames? Okay.
Yeah, it's Twigames.
Twigames. Okay. Thank you for the correction there. So if I'm correct, you're the founder and head of this company. So what are your kind of roles and responsibilities then at Twigames?
So yeah, as I told originally, I'm a developer myself, and for the first several years, I also did development work as a lead developer. But after that, at some point, I stopped doing it, and now I'm kind of the person that's kind of like head office, you know. So we have developers, we have artists, we have game designers in our team, but we don't have any sales, HR, recruitment, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So and we don't have any other manager, for example, and all that work is on me. So yeah, like kind of like producer and around it.
Yeah, it's classic indie game studio stuff where you've got all of the creatives and then the guy who's got to go out and do the biz dev stuff, do all the admin, all of the stuff that's, you know, probably doesn't feel quite as creative as actually getting down and programming a game, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works mostly.
Okay. So what's your actual, you know, what's your personal history with video games, Val? When did you first start playing them, and what were your earliest memories playing video games?
I'm from the engineering family, so my parents are engineers, my grandparents are engineers, and even my grandfather was kind of, let's say, almost programmer at some point.
Okay.
And I have a memory that when I was 4, my grandfather brought a PC from his work at home, and it was Pentium 286, something like that. And it already had some games on it, like Sokoban, some classic games, you know.
Yeah.
And I played them. Frankly speaking, at that point, I did not manage to play them a lot. They were rather hardcore. They did not have saves usually. They did not have
Yeah. Yeah.
save system. And yeah, and my best friend had some kind of console, I guess Sega, and I always liked Sega more than the PC, but it was better than nothing, you know.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
yeah, and after that, during my childhood, I played some games, mostly classic ones, again, like Heroes of Might and Magic, and Civilization, and Duke Nukem, and so on. Like at that point, at the time, you did not you did not have like many games, and you usually were not able to have, for example, like favorite genre or something like that. So you played games when they appeared, and if today it's a shooter and the next day is strategies, then again next day you like strategy games, something like that.
It was a simpler time, wasn't it, Val, where you just played whatever you could get your hands on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, mostly. Like later, when I grew up a bit, there were more games, obviously, and at some point, you know, I'm not sure how it. You're from UK, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure how it was in UK, but we in the end of at the end of 19th, we had some medias that wrote about games, and it was like paper media, so it was kind of like magazines.
Yep.
And I bought them and read them, and they wrote about games. Once per year, they wrote about E3, and E3 looked like something unbelievable. I didn't understand even what is it.
Yeah.
So yeah, games became like more acceptable. So yeah, at some point, Cossacks were released, and it was like the first successful Ukrainian game. It was also like unbelievable that Ukrainian studio can make a game that will be popular and played all over the world. So it's also important.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, it's interesting you talk about like the era where magazines came in and things like E3. I was talking about this recently, actually, and just how magical it was to kind of see all of that stuff from afar, right? Like you'd read about it and you'd be excited for stuff in a way that you don't get anymore, because everything's like a tweet and a 2-minute story and you're on to the next thing, and you don't really get much time to dwell on this stuff. Yeah, but it was nice. Like, do you remember demo discs as well? Like magazines used to come with demo discs with games on, and yeah, that was kind of how you got exposed to that stuff, right? It was
I remember, but magazines with demo disc were too expensive for me. So
Yeah.
I bought cheaper ones. They were without discs usually.
Yeah, do you know, I'm the same. Like, my mum would buy me a magazine maybe once a month if she was feeling kind. And every now and then I remember distinctly trying to sneak the demo disc ones into into the basket when we were shopping. And now and then she'd say yes, but it was very rare. Yeah, because they were like £5 or something. So like, what genres did you settle on in the end? Like, what are some of your favorite games now that you've had the chance to kind of choose whatever games you want to play? What are some of your favorite games?
It's interesting because the games that I like to develop are not the games that I like to play. And my favorite games are some games where you don't need to think much, but they're more about some action, you know. So I like shooter games, I like platformers, Metroidvanias, and action games, and something like that. But if I look at what I usually working on, it's something about either strategy games or
Yeah.
puzzle games, or something that is much slower. You know, never really need to think more.
Are there any games that you're playing at the moment that you're a big fan of? I'd noticed you mentioned Metroidvanias. Are you playing Silksong at the moment?
Not yet. I'm playing not so many games, unfortunately, and usually like, I buy the next one when I complete the previous one. For now, I'm playing on PlayStation the game from the Star Wars universe, Jedi. Maybe you can
Oh,
help me.
Fallen Order or Survivor or something?
Yeah, Jedi Survivor, I guess.
Yeah. They're pretty good games, actually. They're like a kind of Souls-like slash Uncharted version of Star Wars, right? I enjoyed those games.
Yeah, quite nice. So
Yeah.
I can play it for an hour in the evening.
Yeah, feel like you're actually getting somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, you played games growing up. How did you make that decision to, I mean, like to found your own company and go into the deep end there making games? How did you come to that conclusion that was what you wanted to do?
That was rather uh, like natural decision for me. On the one hand, I always had some wish to make some kind of business. So I liked freedom. I liked dreaming of money. Uh, yeah, not the money, but dreaming of money.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even during my student years, I tried to establish several projects, failed all of them. After that, like when I got my first job as a Unity developer, as it was a job in small startup, and at some point it became like a real startup. So we were established at a company, and everybody had some shares, including me as a junior developer, and I liked that vibe. You know, we worked a lot, but we had some sense in doing that. Not only money, you know, and not only like salary, but some big goal. And I remember the time that like one of the happiest time in my life. So I enjoyed as a vibe, and I enjoyed it, but still worked a lot. At some point, we worked like 6 days per week, and so on. And after that, I worked in a few years. I just worked in a company that developed casual games, and our project uh, was being closed, and at the moment I had an opportunity to took some freelance work, so I started freelancing, and a bit later my clients started asking me, okay, like, could you maybe find an artist for the project to create some additional art? And I found an artist. I started managing him a bit, and I felt like I like how it goes. And it was not something like a huge decision that I woke up in the morning and say, okay, like today I will establish the company.
Yeah.
It was the moment when I find the name for the studio, and I found a domain on it. I registered the domain, and at that moment I say, okay, now we are a studio because we have a name, and that's it. And yeah, but it was kind of like organic. Just at some point I found out that there is me and two other guys, and I'm managing them. And I decided that, okay, like, it's pretty enough to call us a studio.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like it fell nicely into your lap. You kind of, I love the idea that once you get the domain name and the website, that's it. You're a company. That's and you're managing people. So I guess that makes you CEO, and then off you go. So and how many do you have in the company now? How big is it now?
Still rather small. So we have a team about 20 people now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's grown quite a bit then from that first foray into a business. And how long has it taken to get to 20 people then?
It took for us, I guess, about 8 years.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting. It's quite a journey then, nearly a decade. And you're on the brink of releasing a full standalone your own title called Hollow Home. So just before we talk about that, then I do just have one more question. That 8 years has probably taught you quite a lot. You've gone from kind of knowing, I guess, very little compared to how much you know now. Is there any advice you would give to people who want to go on a similar journey? Something maybe that you wish had been told 8 years ago?
I think there's nothing that I wish I've been told 10 years ago and it could help me in any way. But probably the best advice that I have is that there is no silver bullet in making business. And because, in the world around us, people think that there is actually a silver bullet, because we have business schools, we have a lot of books, some books about like great entrepreneurs, about Steve Jobs, about Elon Musk, and so on. And sometimes you're, as an entrepreneur, doing something and it doesn't work, and you think that it's because, like, you're bad, you're worse than Elon Musk, for example. I don't believe in it. I believe that your success is partly on you and partly on luck and on the situation. And like, the best what you can do, you can try to not miss the opportunities and use them, and just keep working and working as long as you could do. So yeah, that's my best advice, that just keep doing it.
Yeah.
If it still, like, makes you happy.
Yeah. Never give up, I think, is never give up. No, it's nice message. And I'm sure that there were times where you probably did feel like giving up, but here you are 8 years later, and it's good to see that you're still going, and on the start of another exciting journey. And that journey is with Hollow Home. So you've talked a lot about the fact that so Twigames for the most part, have done. So I was speaking to your colleague Anastasia, who explained a little bit that there's a lot of outsourcing, a lot of development support work that goes on, but you are now going to release your own narrative-driven cRPG called Hollow Home. It is not shying away from its message. It's very much based in the real world, and it's focused on the invasion of Ukraine by your neighbors in Russia. But I'm interested to know how the idea came to make a game based on that particular story, because I imagine it comes with some difficulty and some challenge for you personally. So just tell us about the studio's decision to go with that.
So when the invasion started, we evacuated for several months from Kyiv to the western part of Ukraine, to the mountains. And that was actually a rather interesting story, because nobody believed in Ukraine that the war could start, actually. And okay, maybe not nobody, I did not believe, let's say it. And at some point, we also were, nervous because of news. And my colleague asked me, like, okay, well, what will we do if the war, like full-scale invasion, started? And we wrote kind of plan of evacuation of the company. So we had a document where it was written that that we should come to office, we should take some stuff and move to the western part of Ukraine. And after that, we had a way to guess Romania or something like that. So that was the idea, that we'll evacuate to Romania. And 1 week before the invasion was started, I was in London at Pocket Game Conference. And just, moving around, trying to do some business. But on every meeting, people asked me, like, what will you do if the war would start? I answered, initially I answered, like, I have no idea. But after that, I remembered that, okay, we have a plan. And I started answering, okay, we have a plan, like, we are ready for that. And in a week or something, I'm sitting at 5 a.m. with my family in my bathroom, and absolutely shocked, and had no idea what actually to do, because life did not prepare me for that, really.
Yeah.
And the same colleague that asked about plan, he wrote to me like about 8 a.m. In Discord, and he wrote to me like, okay, well, so we should start the evacuation plan. I answered to him like, the fuck, what evacuation plan? Like, are you insane? The war has started, like, we are in the war. And he answered, yeah, but we made a plan for that case, remember? And we actually like launched the plan because we didn't have any better idea. And I decided that the plan was written by me when I was like calm. So I probably was like more smarter person at that moment, when I'm now at like 8 a.m. in my bathroom.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we launched it. We had 12 people at that moment. 9 of that were evacuated together on several cars. The plan was bad. We did not know. Yeah,
I shouldn't laugh, because it's like a very serious situation, but I'm just kind of in admiration of your kind of the way that you reflect on it. You're laughing about it, and you kind of paint this picture of kind of just almost comedic way of like, you made this great plan, when you thought it wasn't going to happen, and then when it comes to executing the plan, you realize, well, this is all gone to shit. Like what the like? So I'm not by any means laughing at the situation, but the way you tell it is quite amusing.
Yeah, like like 4 years. It was 4 years ago, so it's in the past. Yeah, like because based on the plan, we were going to move from Kyiv on like cars, but I did not know how many cars do we have, and but it happened that we had enough cars. So, but we also, for example, wrote there that we should take like PCs from the office, and there was no place for PCs at all in cars. Like we took two ones, and that was like all the place that we have. We took two PCs. We took some devices for testing, like smartphones, two VR headsets, and several notebooks that we had. And at that point, like we were done. Like there was no place in cars, and like it was like 24th of February, and before afternoon we left the Kyiv, and that two PCs that we took, like for the next 2 months, half of the team, together with their families, were living together in the same house, together with me and my family. And another 3 persons with their families, they lived in different places, like, but also together, and they also had some new traditions in that place, things like that. And yeah, and we lived together for next 2 months in the same house. The two PCs that we took together with us for the next 2 months, they was having like quite important role. They were stand on the entrance to the kitchen, and they. Would you hear me, David?
Yeah, I can hear you. It was just delaying a tiny bit, but it's okay. It seems.
Okay. Yeah. So they were staying at the entrance to the kitchen, and they protected food from my dog, actually. So what they did, they just did not let my dog to get into the kitchen because kitchen did not have a door, and like we did not turn on them like anytime. Yeah, and and we lived together for 2 months, and what we did, we started to work rather soon, and we also communicated a lot between each other, and also we read and watched a lot of news. And at that moment, like we were full of news, and every day there was some news because the situation been changed very fast and very dramatically. And basically, even that happened, like it's something that you were not able to imagine at all. Like, okay, like we understood that kind of like Russia is an enemy for us, but also we believed that there are some, like international organizations or like European Union, USA, and so on. We believed that like it generally was not like normal to believe that Russia will try to occupy Kyiv because they were in their like propaganda. They told a lot that they will occupy Kyiv just for like 3 days. So that was
3
like
days,
part of the
yeah,
measure.
the famous 3 days that Putin said, right? Yeah.
Yeah, in Ukraine, it sounded like absolutely insane. So who could believe in that? And supporting of the idea was really low. Like nobody could believe that it would try because it's not realistic. So
Yeah.
it looks like so stupid decision, and you can't believe that people can do such a stupid decisions. On the one hand, on the other hand, we could not believe that it would be so horrible scenes, so
Hmm.
horrible, like actions
Yep.
in the modern world, because some um, some events of this war, they like it's just what's called genocide, actually, and the things that happened in Bucha, in Mariupol, and several other um, several other places,
Yep.
like it was like a huge shock for us. So we could not imagine that it's possible to like do such horrible things, like to kill civilians that uh, for that goals. And um, and yeah, and we read that news. We at that moment there was a huge drama with siege and occupation of the Mariupol, and thanks to journalists and mostly, if you know, there is a Ukrainian journalist Mstislav Chernov.
I don't, but go on.
Yeah, so it's a Ukrainian journalist of the Associated Press, and he was in Mariupol for the first 20 days of the invasion, and he managed to leave the Mariupol because at some point a rather fast connection was blocked, but he managed to leave the city with kind of like flash card with a lot of like materials with war crimes and so on and so on, and he actually showed it to the world. Later, he made a documentary from that materials, and that's the first Ukrainian Oscar-winning movie.
Okay, why do I not know about this? I should know about this. What's the name of the movie, the documentary?
It's called 20 Days in Mariupol.
Okay, there you go. Everybody should check that out if they haven't already, including me.
Oh, horrible, horrible movie. That's something that you can't make yourself
Yeah.
to watch the second time. Yeah, sorry, a bit, move far from your
No,
question.
no, it's honestly, it's fine, Val. I appreciate you sharing it because it can't be easy. So you're good. Carry on.
Yeah, and at that moment there was kind of idea that the world does not understand what's going on here,
Hmm.
and or does not understand or don't want to believe. And if we uh, tell it, if we show it, if we make the world to believe, the world will stop it somehow. And because of that, a lot of people in Ukraine then tried to tell about that. All our famous football players, some um, celebrities, and so on, so on. So they were telling a lot about war crimes, about what really happens here, and so on, and so on, and so on.
Yeah.
And we also felt like we should probably try to do something. And at that moment, many studios tried to do some projects about the war. So it was spring and summer 2022, and I remember that there were like several projects in development at this moment, like 4 or 5. Some of them were released, some of them were not released, but it was very kind of like natural wish to share it somehow, to tell about something about that.
Mm-hmm.
As for us, we at some day we came with that concept in our kitchen, because we had, like kitchen together with living room, like a big room where we spent the time together, and we also worked there. So we have several pictures where there is like one long table and about 8 people with notebooks around it, and we are doing some work there. So we communicated a lot, and we came with that concept that it could be a project with that tells about the war, with like basic story inspired of events of the Mariupol. So it's a story of the Ukrainian city that's being occupied, and we did not want to make something with kind of like some fighting in it, with some shooter mechanics or something like that, because we just could not imagine how we can show it. And we could not imagine, for example, how we could show like Russian soldiers, for example. And there's no Russian soldiers in our game so far. So, and we came that it could be a project that tells a story of surviving through the war for civilians. And Discalism looked like good reference for it. So it's also a game where you're moving around, exploring the area, talking to other people, doing some quests, and also from the visual style, it also was quite like comfortable for us, because at that moment we did not have good expertise in 3D. Now it became like much better, but at that moment it wasn't, and it was like a good decision, because both our style and Discalism one, it's kind of like 3D, but it's with a lot of hand-painted textures. So you can make it like beautiful with a lot of like 2D skills. And so that was the moment. But we also did not decide that, okay, like we are developing the game and started doing it next day. We came with the idea and we made a pitch. We started with presentation, and we've pitched it internally to the team, what the team's thinking of it. After that, we pitched it to several other people from the industry, Ukrainian game developers, several people who I know, like from Europe, our friends, and showed the pitch to them to get some feedback, what they think of it. And the feedback was like, I would say, optimistic, but moderately optimistic, something like that. Like so. Not so huge excitement, but that okay, like it could work probably. And we in a few months we were back to Kyiv, and I was thinking like, okay, let's try to invest a bit more time and effort in it. And we were thinking like, okay, is it possible to write a story for that? So could it be like an interesting story besides all our internal goals, and that we want to tell about it, like, but could it be like interesting in general? And I asked one my friend. She worked as a journalist for the Ukrainian TV channel for like 10 years before, or 8 years before. I asked her to help us to collect data And
Okay.
we agreed with her that we are getting data from open sources. So we agreed with her on some rules, what data we could use.
Yep.
And she started working on that. And she actually was very excited of it. I did not expect that, because she made so much work so fast. And in, I guess, 2 months, we had a document with 600 pages of
Wow.
different evidences, news, videos, some messages from official channels, from Telegram channels, some more videos, and so on and so on. Some personal experiences, like Instagram, of volunteers who worked in Mariupol and other places. And I saw that, okay, like we've had a lot of data, really. And it's actually looks like you can work with it, because there are like, interesting people, interesting some events, how, like, what they did, how it's all happened. So it's also have a lot of horrible things, but not only nightmares. It's also some stories about people being kind to each other, about people
Yeah.
supporting each other, and
Of course.
and so on. And I decided, okay, like, let's try to do some actually story, to try to do some arc for the game itself. And we hired a game designer who was more experienced with narrative projects. And again, very fast, like in 4 weeks or something, I did have a doc with basic description of how it could work, with some basic description of story, of some main characters, and so on. And I read it, and I saw that, okay, that could be a game, actually. And after that, we started production. So we spent on the pre-production more than 6 months, I would say.
Okay. Wow. That's it's quite a story, and I really appreciate you sharing the journey. You're back in Kyiv now, right? You're working from Kyiv these days, is that correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So, and is Kyiv home for you? That's home, right? That's where you were born and raised. So yeah, I'm glad that you're at home and able to work in Kyiv, and hopefully safely, with everything still going on, of course. Yeah, so I mean, I just, you've touched on it a little bit already, but I'll ask the question just to see, what your thoughts are. How important is it for you for video games to be a way of communicating these important stories from Ukraine? I mean, we've seen examples already of, studios who've escaped Russia, like Militsioner, and the message that they want to put out. There's similar stories coming out of Palestine, and they all have their various reasons for doing it. And I just wonder what your thoughts are on video games being a way of communicating these stories from Ukraine.
Like, one of the point for us is that I think that so far today, video games are not the most usual channels. The channel to for that kind of like social, like messages, that for discussing some social important topics. There are some cases of successful games that do it, and you probably know that, like, the most obvious one is This War of Mine, but also even some like big projects like Last of Us, they have quite difficult drama inside their story, and some other projects like Valen Hearts, for example.
Yep.
But I understand that it's not the most usual way. Like, everybody are used to have some serious books, right? that are written about dramatic stories and movies, but video games are still mostly about entertainment.
Yep.
So probably if I want to share some message, video games would not be the first choice for me. But it happens that we are video games developers and we don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah,
but I think that it still works. So as I mentioned, there are several quite good examples, and you still can have a video game as a channel that not only brings some fun to people, to audience, but also makes people to think a little bit about the world we all live in. So yeah, I think it can work.
Yeah, it's still got room to grow, I think, is the point here, right? As you say, the examples are far less in video games than they are in books and movies, and maybe we need to tell some more in video games. And I'm glad that you're being one of them. So again, just a huge thank you for communicating this stuff. So the game itself, Hollow Home, actually follows the story of Maxim, who is a teenager home alone in Ukraine. I'm always fascinated by younger people and children being used as the vehicle to tell what are tough stories to tell. So I just wonder where the motivation came from within the studio to have such a young protagonist.
I don't remember why we initially came with that idea that our main character should be a kid. So it just happened. Maybe when we discussed it, we had some reasons for that, but I frankly speaking don't remember. But while we were working with it later, we found out two really good things about the situation when your main character is a kid in the story-driven game. First one is that it let us also to tell a story of growing and about losing the childhood, and that's a very typical story for Ukraine now, for Ukrainian kids, because our kids had to grow faster than they should, and they have to face more adult problems that they should face. I do have a son. He's 9, and I guess 2 years ago in summer, he was in second grade, and there was a girl who was younger than him in the first grade in his school. She was not his friend or something like that, but it was the girl whom he know actually, and it was the girl who was killed in Chernihiv by Russian rocket. So
oh wow, okay,
yeah, and after that, it was in summer. We know about that in summer, and after that, he came back to the school, but we needed to have this conversation with him. So we needed to tell to him that, do you remember that girl? Unfortunately, she was killed actually, and that's really some kind of conversation I would want to not have, frankly speaking.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and sometimes we get a feedback from players that he's 14 and he's doing so adult actions in the project, it's not natural. It's partly fair. So sometimes it really does things that kids don't do even during the wartime in Ukraine. But it's still like you still need to understand that kids in Ukraine are a bit different from the ones you used to have in peaceful countries.
Mm-hmm.
Second, really like good point is that when you have a teenager or something like that, he's like or kid, he's asking questions about the world, and adult people, they're answering them and explain to the child how that world, like what's going on. And it's very useful if you want to tell some story, because you can use the dialogues for telling stories, and it looks like fine because that's something that happens. I do have a personal story that about I guess 15 years ago, my father went to a business trip, and he took me together with him. And like it was in another city, and in that city he met his friends from the army. So he like was in the army like 40 years ago or something like that, and he met his friends, and they sat together and took some drinks, and what they did for the next 2 hours, they were telling to me stories from their army past,
Yeah.
because I was the most important person at that evening, because they had the new person that don't know about all that experience,
Mm-hmm.
and they just were able to remind it and to tell the stories to me, because without me, what they could do, like they all know that stuff, so it makes no sense just to tell that to each other. But but I think that I saved the situation,
Yeah, and it's interesting, like the curiosity that a child has works, and I've felt that in the demo. So I think it's the day before when you first start, and you're asking about the rumors of like the army being on the border, and you get these different viewpoints from the different adults, right? Where they will soften the news for you, and like there's the old lady who is very used to war and talks about it in different ways. And I find that actually quite cool as a means to allow the player to be curious, because a kid would be curious about these things, and I guess most people playing the game will have some understanding of what's happened in the war over the last few years. And again, it allows people to ask those questions from a different perspective and get different answers. So I do find that a really thoughtful way of including a young person as a protagonist. So I've just mentioned there that it is calm in the first day, and you've talked about the fact that there are hopeful stories and there are stories that are harder to stomach. I just wonder then, in terms of like Maxim's development and how the story unfolds, how good or bad can it get in this town, and what kind of journey can players expect to go on in Hollow Home?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to tell you the whole story
Of course,
of the
no,
project,
no spoilers.
but I could say that the story, on my point of view, is quite dramatic and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes tragic.
Okay. All right. I won't pry any further for you to reveal key points in the story, but yeah, that's a draw for me, because I think just speaking to you, Val, to be honest, I get the sense that, and from playing the demo, that you are not going to shy away from the stuff that you feel like it needs to be communicated about what's happened in Ukraine. And yeah, again, just a huge respect for putting that out there. Just mechanically then, so the town's NPCs and people have various conditions. Their feelings towards you, I think, like some are sympathetic, some are neutral, and you also have a status of alive or dead. So again, I don't want you to spoil anything, but what can you tell me about those conditions? Like, how flexible is it? How different can one player's story be to another?
Yeah, so mechanically there are several features that can affect the way how you play the game. So it's classic RPG mechanics, like skills that can be improved for the experience that you gain from different actions, mostly about passing quests, right? About completing quests. You have an inventory with some objects, items that you can use. And also we have a system of relationships. So based on your actions, your relationships with different characters can also be different. So they can be either better or worse. And we also have action points that are spent on different actions, and you need to have ones if you want to do something. And all that system together works on the idea that you can't help to everybody, and you can't complete each task in the best way. You will need to do some choices. You will need to choose who you are, what is the person Maxim is, like how he used to deal with different tasks, more with his brain, more with his like athletic skills or something like that, and also to define what characters are your friends and what characters maybe are not so your friends, something like that. So all the stuff affecting the way how you can play the game, how you can communicate with other characters.
And yeah, so I am curious as well about the action points thing. I think that's quite a novel, interesting way of limiting what a player can and can't do. So for anyone who's not played the demo yet or is not familiar with it, so each day you wake up with 10 action points, right? If I'm not mistaken. And so the various actions you can only do if you have a certain skill. So you've got that kind of changeable way of your character being able to interact, but no matter what, you are locked into a limit on how many actions you can do. So yeah, I'm just interested in the thought process behind that, because that is kind of coming away a little bit from your usual cRPGs, where you're kind of left to just, whatever the skills determine, but to limit the amount of tasks you do each day is an interesting one. I'm curious where the thinking was behind that.
It is kind of survival games inspiration. So for survival games, the time is rather usual mechanics. So you are spending time on doing something, and you need to do some time management. And action points is kind of like analog of time in our project. And that's also some limitation for player, that you need to decide on what you will spend the time that you have. What will you do today, and what will you left for tomorrow, for example. So that's the idea. And also that mechanics with days, within game days that are changing, it let us to, like, on the one hand, it's one of the mechanics that help us to tell the story, because every day the city is being changed. Actually, like during the night, the situation is being changed. We don't need to change it somehow during the play, actually. So we don't have like really, some time triggers during the gameplay. But the city is being changed during the night. And actually, the changes of the city, they are related to the situation, to the real situation, how it happened in real life when the invasion started. Yeah, so that's why it works in such a way.
Okay. And you talked a little bit there about the fact that the city will change and reflect events of real life. And you've also talked about how important that the documentation and the data from journalists, etc. So yeah, I'm just wondering, how much of this can be drawn and compared to real life events in Ukraine in terms of timing, impact, etc.
We tried to keep some balance between trying to make it close to the truth, and also to thinking of feelings of of our people, for example, because the things that we are talking about, they're reflecting to personal experience, and it can be rather like not it can hurt actually people, so it can remind some not the best memories,
Yeah.
I would say. So the story is fictional. It is like written by us, and like our characters, they don't have any real prototypes or something like that. So our characters are kind of collected characters from different people, I would say. And things that they do, they're reflecting to what people did during the time. And like how it works. For example, we found several evidences that at some point, like in Mariupol, there was no water, and people used water from heaters
Okay.
for their needs. But it was not something about like some exactly person, the one who did it. It was like many people did it.
Yeah.
And that's something that our character can do in the game, because it was like rather not usual, but it happened during the time. So as for city itself, we collected data about Ukraine and about Mariupol for the time. So we had a data including weather forecast, for example, and what happened with the city. So at some point, for example, the cell phone connection disappeared. And like at some point, it's disappeared almost everywhere in the city, but there was like some places where you can take a bit of connection. So there was one station from Ukrainian cell phone operator that was repaired for several weeks, and it actually was the last cell phone station in Mariupol that worked for some time. So yeah, and such events, they also can be reflected in the game. So what happened with weather, what happened with the city, from the point of that, okay, like at some point water could disappear, like electricity could disappear. We know that at some point people started cooking food just on fire near houses, and that also something that can happen. So yes, that's how we work with it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, just a couple more questions then, Val. Again, I'm conscious not to draw you into spoiling anything, but are there any particular elements of the game or the story that you're particularly proud of or excited about that people maybe haven't seen yet?
I actually proud of the story itself, so I know it's already for the whole project, and I think it's great. It has drama. It has characters that are different and that are being changed by events, by communicating with them as well. So, and I think that's what is needed for a good story. And I think that our story is like good.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. What I can tell you without spoiling, there should be like several chapters, and every chapter will have its own mood changing during it, and I also think that it's quite nice, quite interesting.
Okay.
It's probably it.
Is that
so
your
far.
limit? Is that your limit? Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. And do you know what? I'm fine with that because I'm very excited to play Hollow Home. I really am. I really enjoyed the demo at Gamescom. I've spoken to you and Anastasia now, and both incredibly nice people with a lot of interesting things to say. So I guess my final question is, where is development at on Hollow Home? What are your hopes for the next year or so? I know that I think Steam says a 2026 release, so next year. Yeah, where are you at with it? Where do you think we will see Hollow Home appear?
Let me not tell you like exact date, but yes, like if everything goes following the plan, next year we release it, and you'll be able to play it.
Amazing. Okay. In the meantime, everybody obviously needs to go and wishlist it because that is really useful for small developers like yourself.
Yeah, please do that. It's a fact. Like it's so important for us.
Yeah. I've already done it, so everybody else needs to do their part. Val, I really appreciate you giving me your time today. I know that this is in some parts tough topic to talk about, but also one of hope and joy because it's something you were creating and putting out there. So huge thank you for giving me the time, and I wish you every success in the future.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, I appreciate your support a bit, a lot. Sorry. The conversation was quite long,
Yeah.
And in English is not my native language, so it takes some energy from my side.
Yeah, look, your English is amazing. It's definitely better than my Ukrainian. So, you've got a bonus points there. No, thank you, Val. I hope you have a great rest of the day and the weekend, and I hope we can speak again soon.
Yeah, I also hope. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.